Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. Happy Spoken Word Tuesday. I hope you guys Tuesdays come along fine. All right. Hey, so you guys know, hey, I done my show today, right? And it was based on restoration, right? Because what I'm about to do right now is the new covenant. And this video is going to be a bit time consuming, because I want to make sure you guys understand what's about to take place, right? Like I said, in my short today, I read from Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 15 in KJV version. And it's basically just telling you how a prophet would be raised from our brethren, right? As it is written in Deuteronomy 18:15 KJV version, it says, "The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him he shall hearken." Gotta put my scarf on, of course. Anytime we prophesying and everything or giving the word, we should cover our head, okay? To honor the Father and everything. All right. So again, let me go ahead and read that verse over because I should have had my scarf on when I was reading that exact verse. Deuteronomy 18:15. "The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hearken." So all the father just saying is here he's going to raise a prophet from the midst of Judah or Israel, because Judah and Israel will become one and will become the Messianic nation who will rule. So all the Gentiles and everything will be under the rulership of this Messianic nation, right? Who will be following in the Most High's ways, right? Led by the Messiah, who is the King of Israel, right? So we know Yahushua was, it is God's son, and Yahushua was in the flesh, right? And the Messiah, is now with us, gathering us and restoring us, because he is back. And he is the ending of the Messiah, okay? We will become a Messiah nation, okay? And actually, it speaks about the restoration throughout the Bible, right? I had one of my viewers ask me to explain Psalms 85. 80 through 85, KJV version. In fact, Psalms 80 through 85 speaks about restoration. So does Isaiah speaks about restoration, and so does Jeremiah, right? But for my viewers' sake, I told them I would break it down. So I did take the time to write a lot of notes on it and everything. But I will read Psalms 80, okay, the KJV version, because remember, this particular chapter focuses on restoration, right? And it is a psalm of Asaph. Now you got to understand, Asaph them was basically of the Levites. They were the service workers, the servicemen, for Israel during those times. Like you may have people that was over the food, over the music, the gatekeepers and everything, the priests. Normally Asaph is from the tribe of Levi, okay? And the tribe of Levi was more of service men to Israel, okay? So this particular psalm is from Asaph, okay? And the heading says, "Israel pleased with the shepherd of Israel for deliverance, for salvation, and that his face shall shine upon them. To the chief musician upon Shoshanim Edom, a psalm of Asaph." So again, this is a psalm of Asaph, and these just be, psalms and thoughts and prayers. I mean, from David to Solomon to the servicemen of Israel. Like I say, servicemen would consist of the people who sing, in the choir, or the people who's preparing everything, the people who's making sure the laws and everything is in order. Asaph and so is other servicemen who are from the tribe of Levi, out of service to Israel. And Asaph again is one of them. This is a psalm of Asaph, verse 1, chapter 80. "Give ear, O shepherd of Israel, thou that leadest Joseph like a flock, thou that dwellest between the cherubim, shine forth. Before Ephraim and Benjamin and Manasseh, stir up thy strength and come save us. Turn us again, O God, and cause thy face to shine, and we shall be saved. O Lord God of hosts, how long wilt thou be angry against the prayer of thy people? Thou feedest them with the breast of tears. Thou feedest them with the bread of tears, and givest them tears to drink in great measure. Thou makest us a strife unto our neighbors, and our enemies laugh among themselves. Turn us again, O God of hosts, and cause thy face to shine, and we shall be saved. Thou hast brought a vine out of Egypt. Thou hast cast out the heathen and planted it. Thou preparest room before it, and didst call it to deep. Thou preparest room before it, and didst cause it to take deep root, and it filled the land. The hills were covered with the shadow of it, and the boughs thereof were like the goody cedars. She sent out her boughs unto the sea, and her branches unto the river. Why hast thou then broken down her hedges, so that all they which pass by the way do pluck her? The boar out of the wood doeth waste it, and the wild beast of the field doeth devour it. Return, we beseech thee, O God of hosts, look down from heaven, and behold, and visit this vine, and the vineyard which thy right hand hath planted, and the branch that thou makest strong for thyself. It is burned with fire, it is cut down. They perish at the rebuke of thy countenance. Let thy hand be upon the man of thy right hand, upon the son of man, whom thou madest strong for thyself. So will not we go back from thee. Quicken us, and we will call upon thy name. Turn us again, O Lord God of hosts. Cause thy face to shine, and we shall be saved. All right, so that was Psalms 80, verses 1 through 19. And Psalms 80, Psalms 81, Psalms 82, Psalms 83, Psalms 84, and Psalms 85, it's about restoration, okay? And like I said, these are the chapters that one of my viewers want me to break down. In fact, I was going to do a restoration video anyway, so this was just included in it. Okay, so this is a bonus for you, viewer. Now, so we're going to analyze Psalms 80, right? Well, like I said, it's about restoration. And this is pretty deep, so I had to take the time to do a lot of writing on this, okay? And what I came up with, Psalms 80 is basically a lament, a cry out, a worshiping, from the community who's calling for the Father, or his son, the Messiah, who is the King of the Israel, to save them from trouble, right? To restore them back, to come and shine his face upon them, to restore them. And if he will shine his face upon them, they will be restored, okay? Let's see, so now it also focuses on Ephraim and Benjamin and Manasseh, right? These are the tribes of Israel, right? Who are Jacob's son, who is also Israel, who became Israel, right? Now we got to understand that Yahweh, who is the God, and Yahushua is his son, but Yahweh, he was the shepherd of Israel back then, right? And he was using Joseph, to lead his flock. Yahweh, who was God and spirit, was leading Joseph to lead the flock at the time. Remember, when Moses was going to the promised land with Israel, but he never made it to the promised land because he struck the right. He was kind of disobedient. But Joseph and Caleb, they took over. They obeyed the Father, and they was leading the flock, okay? Also, that was verse 1. So verse 2, basically, was the Ephraim and everything. But I want to go down to, where it says you will dwell between the cherubim, and that is, let's see if that's in here. Verse 1. Well, anyway, talking about the cherubim, you guys got to know, the cherubim and seraphim, all them like kind of angels. Now, the cherubim is also written in the Bible when it says the cherubim is actually closing off Eden. It's protecting so you can't get through. So Eden is still exists, but the cherubim itself is like one of the angels that stands still covering Eden, right? Now, during this Psalms and everything, when they say you will dwell, you who dwell between the cherubim, it's just referring to the Father, right? It's just recognizing, that heaven is a reality. and God does dwell between the cherubim, right? And it says you will dwell between the cherubim and shine forth, because Asaph was just, asking God, for the glory and to shine forth, on behalf of his people, because Israel, remember, was made a special people to the Father, right? So when God, who also is, the host of all the cherubims and the seraphims, when he shines forth, the darkness and gloom vanishes. He magnifies the light for the people. So basically, like I'm saying, and some just asking for restoration and everything, right? It also say before Ephraim and before Benjamin and Manasseh, these tribes, they were grouped together on the west side of the tabernacle, right? So let's see. Also, it's talking about in Psalms 80, tears to drink in great measures. Now, this was basically Asaph uses as a metaphor, drinking the tears, but he was just drinking the drinking the tears just to express, the weariness and the sorrow of the Father's people. So he's saying, they are in such great sorrow, and that he's just expressing all the tears that his people is going through for being in much sorrow. Okay. Also, it said that the enemies is laughing among themselves, mocking and taunting Israel's enemies. And the Father did that because, of the people not following his ways and also being cursed and everything. The people was in such a low condition, was receiving strife from the neighbors, and the enemies was mocking them and everything during this time. So Psalms 8, that's why they crying out for restoration. They going through so much. They going through mocking from the people, making fun of them. They'll strike to their neighbors. And when he said strike to the neighbors, it was a lot of jealousy and malicious among Edom and Moab, right? During that time, which caused a lot of trouble for Israel or for Yahweh's people and everything, right? It caused, strife with their neighbors and everything, and who being their neighbors, basically Moab and Edom, because remember, Edom is a brother anyway. Even though he's not a tribe of Israel, he's still a brother. But, the Edomites and all that Moab, they caused great trouble for Israel. So, of course, Edomites and Moab, they also going to be avenged for us, because what they did to Judah caused them just to follow all type of idols and everything, and caused them a lot of trouble and strife, right? So Edom and Moab, yes, the Father would avenge them, but in their third generation, their children will be begotten of and can be grafted into Israel, okay? But Moab and Edom did cause Israel a lot of problems and everything. Okay. Also, this Psalm 80 is just pointing to they actually recognizing that the Father is really angry and everything, because of what they're doing, how they going about, of their condition and not following the laws and commandments and everything. Okay. And also, it speaks of Israel being the vine. Israel itself is the vine, and it's going to be planted in the promised land. The vine is just, it's Israel, right? And you got to know, we are the olive tree and everything, but the wild olives and everything, those are the Gentiles, right? So the vine of Israel is planted in the promised land. Even though we are scattered out and foreigners in the strange land of America, we will be back in our promised land. Because we are the vine who was planted in the promised land. Now, even though, now the Father have brought the vine out of Egypt, right? And it was transplanted from Egypt and brought, let me see, this vine was transplanted from Egypt. Okay, it was transplanted from Egypt and brought into the promised land. In Canaan, God planted it, making room by casting out the Canaanite nation. So when he came in, and he allowed, Joseph and Caleb to come in, he cast out the Canaanite nations because he made the land of Canaan a promised land for Israel, right? So he caused the land of Canaan to take deep root and fill the land, right? The vine of Israel was blessed in the promised land during that time. And it was blessed, and they took deep root and filled the land in a way, that the Canaanites had not. Oh, and they grew very strong and secure, and did what was impossible, of the Canaanites. They couldn't do it and everything. Okay. So again, in Psalms 80, it's talking about us, Israel, Judah, being that planted vine in the promised land. Right now, we've been scattered out in strange lands, but as the Father promised us, we will be back in our promised land, okay? Because we are the vine. We are the root of the vine. And all those wild leaves are the Gentiles, okay? Now, also talks about, verse 11, how she sent out bowls unto the sea. Now, this is basically talking about her branches, and it says, and she sent out bowls to the sea and her branches to the river, just talking about that David, who was, the father of King Solomon, that Israel, that whole dominion, stretched out from the Mediterranean Sea to the Euphrates River, okay? So Israel is basically huge, sands of the sea, numbers you can't even count, and everything, okay? So right now they're saying that Israel stretched from the Mediterranean Sea to the Euphrates River, okay? So that's a whole lot. So no, Israel really is throughout the world, okay? And the goodness of the world is basically Mount Zion, right? Because what? The Father just want us to be righteous, be obedient, follow laws and commandments, right? And that's how we all become grafted in. That's how we all, restore the ancient ways, leading us back, to like eating vegetables and herbs as meat and everything like that. It also talk about, why the Father broke down the hedges of Israel, right? Because in ancient Israel, the vineyard, the vineyard itself is kind of like surrounded, by like some type of thick hedge, it's thick, and it's just basically comparing, that the vineyard, is troubled, it's symbolic that, that the hedges is symbolic that the Father have just broken the heads off Israel and scattered us around. That's why we have to be back restored, right? And it also says, all who pass by the way pluck her fruit, they pluck our fruit because we don't have no protection. Remember, we cursed right now, right? So everybody, the enemies, our neighbors and everything, is they just devouring us and plundering us and oppressing us and everything. So right now, like I said, we're in restoration, and because of our curses, we being plucked, our fruit being plucked in every way, in every form of fashion. All right. And say the boy of the wolves of the uproots. These are known for destruction and can quickly lay waste to the vineyard. And also the enemies of God, who are pictured as such wild, destructive beasts. So it just come out, when they say the boy of the wolves, it's just a wild beast, right? Who goes destroys things. So it's just like, again, the boy is a metaphor compared to Israel, how God peoples are pictured as wild and destructive beasts. All right, and it is burned with fire. It is cut down. So just basically telling you that Israel right now, we're burned with fire. We're in desolation. The vine, came from God, but right now, the vine is in desolation and everything. Because of our counselors and what we're doing and everything in Israel. And let's see. Let your hand be upon the man of your right hand. Okay. Well, right now, Israel's in a low place. Asaph, like I said, he knew that the nation, they needed some type of guidance and everything. So he asked the Father, and he asked the Father of a particular man who was the Messiah, right? Who's this man gonna sit on the throne, who was Christ. You know, who was Christ. Actually, he is the only person that can be said to be the right hand man. He is the intercessor. He is Christ, or he is Christ, which is some from Egypt. You know, so Asaph knew that Israel was in trouble. So, you know, he reached out, you know, to God, you know, in relation to the right hand man, who is Jesus, you know, who is the Messiah, who is the throne. You know, so he also was aware of the Messiah, you know, comes to be the right-hand man, and that the Messiah coming to be the king of Israel. So he was reaching out to the Father, you know, asking him to shine his face upon him through the Messiah. Okay? Now, and also, by the Messiah, by him alone, they can find mercy, right? They can be reconciled to God and restoration through the Messiah, okay? And once that the Father, you know, or the Father shine their face on them, they would not turn back, right? They're kind of like reaching out and crying out, ready to, you know, for restoration, and they won't turn back. They're actually crying and begging out, you know, in the strength of the Son, you know, who is made strong, you know, for God's people, who is the right-hand man, who will allow restoration, you know, of faithfulness for God's people. They will be revived again and called upon his name, which is restoration, right? And only the Lord can revive us, right? The people by forgiving of their sins, by renewing the covenant, and by driving out the enemies, right? This right here is actually taking place right now. The covenant is being renewed. The enemies will be driven out, you know, in a spiritual way, you know, and the blessings of God will take place, and the Messianic Nation will rise, and Judah and Israel will become one. And like it says, oh, restore, oh Lord, God of hosts, you know, this refrain, you know, by Asaph is repeated again, and right now he is referring to the Messiah, the covenant name of God, the Lord of hosts. You know, under the leadership of God, the great Messiah, the people will be restored, and once again, you know the shining radiance of God's face. They will be rescued. Both for Israel and the church, prayer has been answered. In him we may be restored to God. In him, the face of God is shining. The face of God is shining upon us. Okay? And I mean, some of this research that I got came from people like Morgan and Spurgeon and doing word, but I did a lot of research. So what I just did was Psalms 80, you know, was telling you that right there, that whole psalm just about restoration. So some people may not understand it, so I tried to break it down a little bit for you guys. And what I did was write down, okay? I didn't do it like I normally do, like from 1 through 19 and everything. I just wanted to just give a general things. I got to go a whole lot on this restoration. But again, I just want to get a general on Psalms 80 from chapter 8 through 85. It's based on restoration. The Father shining his face, coming back, us being risen as a Messianic nation. Okay? Now, okay, so the new covenant. Again, Psalms 8 through 85. It also got something to do with Jeremiah and Isaiah, okay? But we need to probably start with Genesis, okay? Genesis 49:10. You know, we got to know where this began, okay? So, Genesis 49:10. Let's go. All right, so Genesis 49:10 states, the scepter should not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh come, and until him shall the gathering of the people be. Okay, so now, we know we already started with Genesis 49:10, so the scepter should not depart from Judah, right? Judah is going to be the lawgiver and everything. So he already letting you guys know that the scepter will not depart from Judah. Judah, who is the lawgiver and everything. north between his feet until Shiloh come, until the Messiah come back. Until until him the gathering of people will be. Until us, the gathering of us will be restoration, until the Father, we will be risen as a Messianic nation. So right now in the beginning, even though we've been led from Egypt, from the Pharaohs, through the Red Sea, back into Egypt, by bondages and slave ships and everything, right? It doesn't matter because it already states, the Seth would not depart from Judah. So right now we got to go through all these curses, right? Because of our ancestors, what they did. But in the end, we will be restored as a Messianic nation. We will rule the world. The Gentiles will be our service. However, there will be some Gentiles can be grafted in. There will be many can be grafted in. Because in the end, the covenant is about love, and the Mount Zion doing righteousness is one. Okay? It's about restoration, just following the laws and commandments, doing things the ancient ways. Okay? So, now, for Genesis, like I said, we must start with the promises of Abraham. That's Genesis 12:1. Now, remember, Yahuwah told Abraham to leave his country from his family and his father's house to a land that the Father will show Abraham. The Father promised that he would make Abraham a man of many nations, and he would bless those who blessed him, right? And curse those who cursed him and everything, right? Also, Abraham would be a man of many nations and everything. He was 75 when he left Haran, right? He also took Lot, his nephew, and his wife Sarai, and all the people who they acquired at Haran, right? All the possessions and everything. And they went to the land of Canaan, right? Which is the promised land. They landed in Shechem, and also the Canaanites was in the land. Yahweh did come to Abraham, in the vision, and he also said to him that he will give him the land. Abraham built that altar to the Father in the land of Shechem and everything, right? He also moved from there to the mountain of East Bethel, where he pitched his tent on Bethel of the west side of Ai. There he built the altar, okay? Abraham was 99, when Elohim came to him in the vision and said to him that he was El Shaddai, and he asked, and he told Abraham to walk before him and be blameless, and he will, make his covenant between Abraham and himself, and he will multiply his seeds exceedingly and everything, and his covenant will be with Abraham, and the Father will be the God of Abraham, and Abraham will be the God of many nations, right? His name also did change from Abram to Abraham. So even though I'm saying Abraham, he began with Abram. Okay. Also, the Father also told Abraham that he'll give to him and his descendants after the land in which he was a stranger. So basically, even though we were scattered, we was a stranger. We strangers too. We were strangers in Canaan. During that time, but it was our promised land, so even though Abraham was a stranger in Canaan, the Father said that he would make it his promised land, and he would be the Elohim of the promised land in Canaan, okay? Now, Abraham had quite a few promises, right? That was given to him in the land of Canaan, remember, he was given the seed, that the blessings will pass through, who was Jacob, who became Israel. Jacob's name was later changed to Yashael, or Israel, right? And we should understand, and make it important to us that the children of Yashael was the Father's chosen people, who was Israel, who was Judah, okay? And also, Exodus 19:6 also, it confirms it. It says, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which ye shall speak to the children of Yashael. Okay? So it's written in Exodus and everything, letting them know, that we would be a holy nation and everything, and the children of Yashael. So right now, as we being risen, we are the children of Yashael, and we will rule as a Messianic nation. You know. Also, it says in Leviticus 20:26, and you shall be holy to me, for I, Yahuwah, am holy, and have separated you from the peoples that you should be mine. So when we be built as a Messianic nation, Judah and Israel will become one. You know, we will be a holy people to the Father. We should be Him. You know, and all the others, you know, will be servants of the Most High under our rulership. Okay. Remember, Yashiel or Israel, you know, we are His chosen people, and we were the seeds, you know, that carries the promises of Abraham, you know, and which who other seeds are blessed from us. Okay. So during the restoration process, all the seeds gonna be blessed from us because they gonna start following our ways, you know, trying to learn, you know, the Father's ways and watching how we operate and gonna want to follow the Most High's ways, right? You know, as far as us invoking the Father's name, yes, Judah and Israel, we got to start invoking the Messiah, the gathering and restoration, invoking the Messiah, so we can rise as a Messianic nation, right? So we had to speak the truth and unify in everything, so we can rise as a Messianic nation, so we can invoke the gathering of the restoration, so we can rise as a Messianic nation, as Judah, as Israel, who is ruling for the Most High, where all the Gentiles and everything are servants under us. Because, you know, because we was in captivity, you know, those who was in captivity will be led into captivity, will be our servants, who will be rulership over. And of course, during our rulership, it will not be an evil bondage, you know, but more in the Most High doings, right? They'll be our servants, but in a righteous way. Okay, and we also got to understand that Israel wasn't coming with Yahuwah. You know, they was required to follow it. You know, if they would have followed, they would have received the blessings. But if they didn't follow, then they received the curses, right? You know, down throughout the history, Yasharel, you know, Israel, they forsake the Elohim covenant, you know, and they got conquered, right? Anyway, but during the history, at some point in time, they were split up in two kingdoms. Remember, because under David, the whole Yasharel and Judah was one, and also under Solomon. But then I believe when Solomon lost it because of all his concubines and him wanting to be a player, you know, I think Rehoboam came, and then the king was split up in two. So we got to know that Yasharel, that was the northern kingdom, was the kingdom of Israel, and Judah was a southern kingdom, right? The kingdom of Judah, you know, and which Benjamin was a part of as well. Benjamin, Levi, and Judah. Now, the northern kingdom, it was conquered by the Assyrians, you know, and they never returned back to the land. You know, actually, in the New Testament, they referred to as the Greeks and everything. Yehuda or Judah, you know, was conquered, you know, very shortly after Israel, right, by the Babylon Empire, you know, but Judah them, they did come back to the land, okay? Now, okay, it's actually important to understand that the prophets of Yehuda and Israel, they were receiving prophecies from Yahweh during that time about the kingdom being rejoined and come back to glory. So there's always talking about restoration during this time, okay? And that was back in the ancient time up to this time. Because right now the Messiah is back and we're being risen. But during this time, you guys can see that Yasharel, the prophets and Judah were already talking about the kingdom being rejoined, okay? Before they split up, you know, it was actually a great period during the time of David and everything, okay? Now, and we also got to know that this is very important because these prophecies came from the prophets of Yehuda and Yasharel, who was Israel. And they prophesied of the Messiah. Remember, the Messiah becoming as a Messianic nation. And they also prophesied of restoration to take place. So they was already talking about restoration and the Messiah during that time. You know, that's why Genesis, you know, the steps should not depart, you know, nor the launcher between his feet. Because it was already prophesied. They was already expecting for, you know, the kingdoms of Yasharel and Judah, you know, to be rejoined. You know, they knew there was a power right now. Because actually, I believe Israel, who was Samaria, they started mingling so much with seeds until Judah them kind of disowned them. Okay? And they also prophesied that the Messiah is to be like King David. So even though people think when they say David will rise again, it's not going to be the physical David. They're actually talking about the seed of David, who's the Messiah, right? He is the seed of David, who will be like David, who will be a king like David, the king of Israel, because David was the Israel, right? And in Genesis 15:13, it says, unto Abram, know of a surety that they seed shall be a stranger in the land that's not theirs, and they should serve them and afflict them 400 years. Okay, America's strange land. So I wrote that down. So that you guys know, yes, it's a land right now. We are America. It is our strange. It is a strange land for us. And Yahweh actually told Abraham that his seed would be a stranger in a land that's not theirs, which is America, right? And right now in America, it's right now Jacob's trouble. Which is Jacob's trouble is a part of the judgment. Jacob's trouble is basically you got so many people out there protesting and leading people in error. That's part of the judgment, because those people who are leading, those not even the elect. Remember, the elect is going to be the people who's going to be standing on Mount Zion, 144,000 with the marks on their foreheads, who's going to be representing the Father. Those are the people of the celestial glories and everything, who's going to be ruling everything. So those people out there that's doing a lot of protesting and leading people in error, that's just part of Jacob's trouble, okay? That's all it is. The elect is going to be the one, who will be be risen as a Messianic nation, who will be in rulership under the Most High's laws and commandments. All right. Like I said, the new covenant again equals restoration, right? The Messiah name is being invoked by Judah. Okay? And I have Hosea 12:13 right there. Let me see what I have Hosea. All right. Hosea 12:13. I have, okay. And by a prophet, the Lord brought Israel out of Egypt. And by a prophet was he preserved. Okay. So it's telling you right there, by a prophet, the Lord brought Israel out of Egypt. We was out of Egypt. We came out of Egypt. But by a prophet, the Moses, we are preserved. So we still are preserved right now. We have our curse of our 400 years, but we are preserved, and we being reserved back to a Messianic nation, And also during Jacob's trouble, Judah, they protest for equal rights. Now, see, Judah protesting for equal rights is not right, because remember, the Messiah is not equal, okay? Judah is a special people unto the Father. So if you're going to be a Messianic nation rulership, then how could you be equal? No. So, like I said, Jacob's trouble is just something in error. Them out there protest for equal rights and leading people in error. But remember, Jacob's trouble is also a judgment, okay? And it's not up to you to go out there and protest, but it's for us to go back to the Bible and allow the Father to lead us and guide us to become a Messianic nation, allow us to rise. So therefore, Jacob's trouble should be in extent right now. As you guys know, Jacob's trouble is part of the judgment, and protesting is not going to get us to the Messianic nation, but following the laws and following the Bible will allow us to rise. Coming back, putting forth the laws and commandments will build us as a Messianic nation. Okay. Now, let's go with Isaiah 5:26. So like I said, Isaiah talks a lot about the resurrection. Okay? Isaiah 5:26. All right, Isaiah 5:26. And he will lift up an ensign to the nations from far, and will hiss unto them from the end of the earth. And behold, they shall come with speed swiftly. So he's saying he's going to lift up the people. He's going to lift us up, as an ensign, from far, and he will hiss from the end of the earth, and behold, they shall come with speed swiftly. So it's just saying we're going to be lifted up as a Messianic nation, and we're going to come with swift speed in a spiritual manner, not war, because all the other nations are going to try to come and war and everything, but the Father's going to come with just great truth. He's going to come with no spear, no sword. He's going to spit out the fire. Whew. And there we go. Okay. Let's go with Isaiah 2:3. Isaiah chapter 2, verse 3. And many people should go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in the paths. For our Zion should go forth the law, and the word of the Lord should go forth from Jerusalem. So it's saying, during the time of restoration, these nations, these Gentiles, is going to follow our ways and everything. Going to follow the Messiah's ways, okay? They're going to say, let's go to the mountain of the Lord, Mount Zion, right? So they can learn his ways and everything. So they can learn his path, so they can be a part of Zion, which the whole world would become once the Messiah comes. Like I said, the whole world be Zion. The most high people, the Messianic nation, will be the people of Zion who will be ruling, okay? And so during this time, going to be many people, the Gentiles, many nations going to come, and they're going to come. They're going to follow, God's laws of the land and everything. They're going to follow the Messianic nation. And, let's go to Psalms 44. All right, so Psalms 44, 5 through 7. Okay, here's Psalms 44, 5 through 7. Through thee will we push down our enemies. Through thy name will we tread them under that rise up against us. For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me. But thou hast saved me from my enemies, and hast put them to shame that hated us. So you see, this Father say, for I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me, but thou hast saved us from enemies. So the Father would push our enemies away and everything, right? He would tread them down under our feet and everything. Whoever tried to rise up against us, right? He would not even trust in the bow, neither sword to save them, right? But the Father himself would use his great power, like I say, and he's going to tread them under us, that rise up against us and everything. It said, thou art my king, O God, command deliverance for Jacob. Thou, through thee, we will push down our enemies. Through thy name, we will tread them under that rise up against us. So him, through his name, through spirituality, it's not going to be, that the Messiah is going to come with the war. Now, other nations are going to come with the war, but the Father's not going to use war, but through his name will he tread his enemies that rise against us, okay? So again, we come in restoration, even though the Bible says it come to pass wars and rumors of wars. We're talking about the other nations, but when the Father comes and deliver us through the Messiah, it's going to be with truth and education, his word. So his sword will be truth, his word coming, the truth may set us free. Let's see. Psalms 85:13. Righteousness shall go before him, and shall set us in the way of his steps. And that's the Messianic Nation. Once we be built and restored and everything, us, the righteousness of us, we'll go before him and we will set the steps. So we will be the leaders and then we'll follow our steps, right? As he set us up in the way of his steps, okay? So us as a Messianic Nation, as Judah, as Israel becoming one, when we be restored, he will set us up so those nations and Gentiles can follow us in his ways, okay? It's about restoration, okay? Let's go to Psalms 118. Right. Psalms 118. Okay, hold on. Okay, here we go. Psalms 118. Let's see. And it just talks about the stone which the builders refuse is become the headstone of the corner. Right? So it's just basically telling you, that the Father, the Messiah who they refuse, has become the head cornerstone. So the Messiah will be in human form as Judah, as Israel, as a nation, okay? Who will be the cornerstone. The very ones that refuse, he still be the cornerstone. He still be the king of Israel, who the Father have given all power through all authority to, okay? To judge us, right? And come and avenge us, right? So even though they refuse the Messiah, he's still going to become the head stone of the corner, okay? Of the cornerstone. Actually, the cornerstone basically got something to do with the pyramid of Giza, which is considered as Mount Zion, and which 144,000, polished bricks sit upon, okay? That is considered to be Mount Zion, which stands at a degree of 577.6, which is a shadow of the things to come. Okay, so that pyramid is actually a witness who is judging us right now. It is a shadow of 577 degrees, the pyramid of Giza over there in Egypt. Okay, the same dollar sign that got that little, when you look at the dollar, got the little eye, that's just blasphemy. Removing the cornerstone, representing the movement of the cornerstone of Jesus. But in the end, the cornerstone, Jesus, the Messiah, will rise up as a Messianic nation who will be us, Judah and Israel, as one who will rule, okay? And the Gentiles will follow. Now, let's go to Ephesians 2. So many numbers, sometimes they start crossing your eyes. Like, let me just go to this one some more quicker. All right. So Ephesians 2, 19 through 22. So Ephesians chapter 2, 19 through 22. Now therefore ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and of the household of God, and are built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Jesus Christ himself being the chief cornerstone, in whom all the building fitly framed together groweth into a holy temple in the Lord, in whom you also are builded together for a habitation in whom you also are builded together for a habitation of God through the Spirit. So it's telling you, this right here, Ephesians 2:19, telling you that we are no more strangers, okay? But we are fellow citizens with the saints, of the household of God, right? And we will be built as a Messianic nation, right? Full of apostles and prophets, and the Messiah himself, or Christ himself, being the chief cornerstone who will be guiding us, right? The Most High will be guiding Judah and Israel, who will be a Messianic nation following the ways of the Messiah. So the Messiah himself is going to be human form, who is going to be us, who is going to going to be Judah and Israel, who will all be built, fitting firmly together, to grow into the holy temple of the Lord, in which we will be the holy temple of the Lord, in which we are built together for the habitation of God through our spirit. Okay? All right, let's go to Malachi 4:2. Malachi 4:2. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye should go forth and grow up as calves of the stall. So it's telling you, people who fear his name, the elect, right? Not those people that's out here, we got all these camps and all this running around. Those are not the elect. The elect is 144,000. Those are going to be the ones who set up Mount Zion with a mark upon their forehead, the tall, the T, right? Now, so it's saying if we fear his name, shall the Son of Righteousness. Now, it don't say son is S-O-N, but it says son of S-U-N, because son is light of Ra, right? Ra, son, that's light. The Father is light. So it says, but unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and you should go forth and grow as calves of the stall. So long as we fear his name, and we invoke his name, and we start implementing his laws and commandments, we should go forth. We should grow forth, right? And grow up as calves of the stall. All right. Let's go to Isaiah 19:1. Now, with this one right here, talking about the clouds a little bit over here, huh? Let's see. Isaiah 19:1. It says, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. Right? Now, a lot of people take this as a metaphor, okay? When it says the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud. When he says swift cloud, we're not talking about just in the sky, now. What's in the sky is the covenant. It's the bow. The bow of the many colors is our covenant in which the Father made a promise to us. That is in the sky. That's the bow, the rainbow. That is our covenant. But when he says the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and when people think he's coming back in the cloud, no, that's a metaphor. What it means is he's come back with many witnesses, right? Us. We're going to be the cloud. And also the clouds is going to be the internet, because the churches is being built on the internet, right? The social media and everything, all the word being put forth, because AI and technology is going to take over, and in the end it's going to rule the world anyway, destroy the world anyway. So right now we got to use the clouds. The clouds is the internet, and the clouds, the many people, the many witnesses. So now let's read that again. The burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon many witnesses, or a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. So all the idols, when he comes with all his witnesses, the clouds, even through the internet and everything, and with all his witnesses and everything, all the idols of Egypt, because Egypt is also us here in America, the Egypt before the ancient time was brought up to Egypt, but we came back in Egypt right now as bondage, right? And all the idols that, we giving our life to and everything. When the Father comes in swift clouds, or with all his many witnesses, through the clouds, on the, feeding the internet, letting him know that everybody know this on social media, with all his witnesses, that he's going to come remove all the idols and everything. And Egypt shall melt in the midst of it, because Egypt, right now, we have the spirit of Egypt, and we're doing a lot of idol worshiping. Revelation 14:1. Now, this is what's about the 144,000. People got a lot of things mixed up. Let's go to Revelation 14:1. Revelation 14:1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's names written in their foreheads. Now, when they say, the 144,000, know that he's talking about the elect, standing on Mount Zion. Remember, Mount Zion, the pyramid of guys that have 144,000 stones, right? Also, what they, kind of the Gentiles came and removed the stones, so we got to go back and put the stones back, which would be part of our restoration, right? Now, and, it says, and having him 144,000, having his father's name written in their forehead, which is basically T. You got to understand, there are different Lewises, which is very deep. Lewis, the Lewis Eternal, Jesus, Salem, and Salem, all converse to Lewis, because actually J in Jesus, like in Hebrew, the J is a lame, which we converse to an L, and the S that's in Jesus is like, it's a symbol, which is Shin, which refers to an S. You see? So Jesus himself actually is converse to Lewis, which is L-E-U-I-S or L-O-U-I-S. But Jesus himself, with the J being lame, turns to L, and the S turn into a W or S, converts to Lewis, right? And Lewis, who is eternal, so it's Lewis eternal. And just to show you something to that effect, I don't want to get deep into this. I'm just going to show you guys a little bit what I mean. Okay, so if you guys can see, you see how I have Jerusalem, then I have Salem, and Lewis. All that is Salem 3 times. But you see that L-E-W-A-S, because that's Salem. The L, remember, and the M is kind of like, well, the S and the L is kind of like interchangeable amongst one another. So we have Salem, and Lewis. Jesus, J-E-S-U-S, L-E-W-S. Remember, L is lame, modern is S, ancient J, paleo J, but English is L. So in the ancient times, this J was like a lamed L, but in English is L. And then you see the S. The S can be a W, right? Let's see. Which is the S. S, long S, which is the W. If you turn that way, in Hebrew is that. So that's why Jesus will convert to Lewis, or Lewis and Salem. Also, in Revelations 3:12, it's going to actually tell you that him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out, and will I write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God, and I will write upon him my new name. So, and that's what I was showing you guys. Salem, and Lewis all the same, right? The new name, Louise, basically, and again, Jesus is converted to Lewis because the L is lame and the W is Sheen. So that's why Lewis is being blasphemed throughout the world. If you guys see that so many people name is King Louis, and and Louis the Fifth and Louis the Sixth, and they clothes is Louis and Louis Vuitton, or so many people name is Louis, right? That's just blasphemy, or so many people name is William, also got that right on here. As you see, I am, I am. So the Messiah is the will of I am, okay? The Messiah is the will of I am. And, you got a lot of blasphemy, so you got to be careful. Be careful with all the celebrities running around here with the names of Williams and Charles and Louis. It's just blasphemy of the Father. Or the people changing their name, from read to Bill. Bill being a short form of William, and also all the bills of the world, the dollar bill, okay? All of it's blasphemy, okay? So when you got so many people, you see a lot of these people sitting on these chairs and saying they King Louis or Louis, or Louise. Remember, Louis, Louis, Louise is all derivations of Jesus. So right now, when we become in restoration as the Messianic form, in the end, we will become like Louis Eternal, because we were invoking the Messiah, and in the end, the final form is Louis Eternal, right? And it's kind of deep, you guys, but I did a lot of research on him, because first I was throwing out, and someone brought it to my attention, and I never felt any vexation about it, because the guy that brought it to my attention had brought me a long way, and I'm feeling like if he can bring me this far and tell me all this truth, and which I was confirming, why should this be a lie? So I did do a little research on it myself, and that's what I came up with. Louis, Salem can be turned to Louis. The J and the S is interchangeable, okay? So again, people love to just go around saying Louis everything. That is blasphemy. So pay attention, because remember, the Father said that his name should be blasphemy throughout, right? They would know I know his name by all the blasphemous situations, right? And that's what's going on right now. His name, William, Charlie, you got to understand that William and Louis, Charlie, Cara, they are very popular names going throughout. Just example, you got Prince Wales of England, Prince William, Prince Charles. Remember, Williams is Will I Am. Charles, that's a form, of Cara and Caress, which is also part of the Messiah Eternal. So when you see them doing all this thing and banging cars and doing like that, or like I think we saw one of the celebrities bang on the car and everything, that was just blasphemy of the car. You remember car being of Carly, being of Cara and everything. Because if you guys believe it or not, Christ himself really come from Egypt, and it was known as Christ. Okay, so all of it, Christ, Caress, it actually began as a story from Egypt and came on over here. So we should be referring to the Father as Yahweh anyway, his son Yahushua. Okay. So I don't want to get too deep in that subject. I just showed it to you guys, but it's very deep. Okay. Now let's go. And actually, just to research, just to read this to you guys, the word Christ comes from the ancient Egyptian word Christ or Christa, which was the anointed money identified as the new of the reborn, re-arising Osiris. The origin of the idea of the reality of returning from the dead is firmly rooted in the history of Egypt, particularly that of Osiris. Okay, and that comes from Edward Bruce Bynum, Physical Doctor of the African Unconscious, pages 114, 1999. Also, it says the chief religion to be ransacked was that of Egypt, already 3,000 years old when Christianity was founded. Egypt, he writes, supplied the virgin birth, a star in the east, 3 wise men bearing gifts, the evil power that tries to take a special child's life, and angelic messengers. The Egyptian hieroglyphic Christ, meaning the anointed one, was applied to the deity Horus, who was born of a mortal woman and later crucified by 2 thieves. And this was the greatest myth ever told, by Ray Kunlaw, published in April 8, 2004. So basically what they're trying to say is Christ itself come from Egypt, and it was known as Christ, or the Caress, who was a mummified version, a mythological version of Osiris or Horus, who was the sun god who is also not real, but was blasphemy to the father of Egypt. So Egypt itself also blasphemed the father name by putting Horus as the sun god and making him as one of his creators, okay? So Christ again comes from Chris, which is originated from Egypt, and started from the Egyptian mummified Osiris, who became Horus as the sun god and as Ra, and then was brought over to us for us to believe Christ, right? But remember, the name is Yahweh and his son is Yahushua. Okay, I wanted to read something. Okay, let me see. I think it's this one. This is one of them. Yeah. So now this here. Now, Deuteronomy 28, it also further explains really restoration, right? Now, in our day right now, the Messiah is a man. Judah and Israel will become the Messiah, okay? And they will become Luz Eternal, okay? They will be the nation under God who will rule. And the Gentiles will be being captive, our service under the Most High ways and not under evil bondage, okay? Now, Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord shall bring them into Egypt again with ships. Judah was plucked up again because Yahushua was not the final form of his human messiahship, right? So in Amos 9:15, and I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out the land which I have given them. Saith the Lord, therefore, if Yahuwah was Messiah's final form, all tribes will already be gathered together in Zion during Yahushua's lifetime, and Judah will not be captive in this slave land. Yahushua is a Hebrew translation of the heavenly name Louise. Louise is where Hebrew word Levi and Leviticus derives, as Levi is a variant of Louis. Okay, remember Louis, L-E-W-I-S, L-O-U-I-S, Levi, that V-W, everything is kind of like interchangeable. It's all coded in the Bible. It's because they want us to look through the glass darkly, right? So we couldn't see. But the saints, the codes are being decoded for the saints right now. So the guy, man, he gave me so much knowledge. He wanted me to bring this to you guys' attention, and at first I was like reluctant, like I don't want to bring this out to them. I just read the Bible and everything. He's telling me that I need to reveal it. Okay, he said so many things about me, even doing my jury duty. He told me that the jury duty was assigned to me getting ready to judge Israel. Okay, Lord knows I was their jury duty. They made me the foreman, and I really judged the people, and I swayed the people and everything. And he told me that the board was a judge of Israel, and that was just the Most High giving me the sign that would be a part of the judgment. So it's even when the same guy came my blood pressure, the same very guy who told me out of all those comments I got, he reached out and told me what to do. He said, follow the Most High ways. And Lord, no, that man helped me and brought me right on back to normal. Even though I had to stop eating meat because he told me I was passing death through my flesh. And in order, for me to teach the God words, I got to humble my health problem. I cannot be sick. So therefore, in order to get all these decoded and to teach the word and to reveal all the mysteries, I had to stop eating meat, right? Because meat will bring along death because, the meat itself is dead. And remember, the God is the God of living and not the dead. So if I'm eating dead stuff, then I'm bringing deadly things to my body that's causing death upon me. So in order for me to get these revealings of these mysteries and these teachings and to be a judge and to be all these things that this man's telling me, I had to drop it all. And it's fine because now a lot of my mysteries been revealed to me. Okay? And it tripped me out because the stuff that the man telling me, and I said, you weirded me out because you kind of like supernaturally weird to know all these things. And Lord knows I don't, and I confirm it. It be the truth. Like, how do you know all these things? He said he did what he had to do. He only lived by the Most High, so yes, he know how to reveal things. The man even told me I was part of the elect. Oh my God. Okay, it's very, very deep. But I let my daddy have, he was reading it with me too. And I let him confirm it with me so he can see what this guy was telling me and confirm the things that was actually taking place in my life. He was speaking upon them and it was really happening. Okay? So, hey, the Father said there's two or more, in his name, he's with us. Okay? So I do believe that the Father sent this man to lead me, to prepare me. Because that man told me there's only one of me and they need me and I'm very important. I had to teach you guys. I thank God for making me a worthy tool, using me as a tool of the instrument. Okay. Oh, I also got in here, Yeshua was the first form, the sacrifice, and the Louis Eternal is his ruler form when we become a Messianic Nation. Okay. Also, our purpose is to dedicate our temples to the building of the Most High's temple. His will be done. His kingdom will come through our work. Therefore, he will not let death take us unhappily until his will is done. And we stand on Mount Zion, sealed and delivered with the Messiah. Okay? Now, the way, to be led as a Messianic nation or to rise to that occasion, right? Let's go to Philippines 3:13. Okay, Philippians 3:13. It says, brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth into those things which are before. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. So then press towards the high calling of the Lord Jesus, right? Don't apprehend yourself to things that have power over you, okay? Forgetting those things that are behind, but looking towards the future, right? That's how you overcome, right? And reaching towards the goal and making the Messiah, the King of Israel, the Louis Eternal, as our prize. And that's how you can overcome. Okay? Now, let me read something I wrote. Now, this is like me, when I was talking to the guy, this is a summary of the restoration, okay? So take heed and listen. This is what I perceive, and it was confirmed, okay? The new covenant is based on restoration, and the Gentiles are in every nation, including Judah. Even though Judah will be the head and will be merged together with Israel to become as one. And during this era of time, there are no lost tribes because Israel is not a nation anymore until Shiloh comes, until the Messiah comes, or until we be risen as a Messianic Nation. He will bring us as one. Anyone can be saved by being grafted in, but will serve under the Most High or under Judah as a Messianic Nation. And the time to repent is right now because there is no first power and no rapture power, okay? When the Messiah comes in the clouds, he is referring to his many witnesses of saints. And the clouds represents the saints not coming through the clouds as a metaphor. During this time, the clouds being invoked on the internet. So the clouds will be all the people on the internet, okay? And the Messiah will reign 1,000 years also to restore us back to eating vegetables and herbs for meat. The elect will invoke the Messiah name back to truth. As of now, we're in Jacob's trouble. However, they're not part of the elect, but they believe they are promoting the Father's word, but they're leading in error and need to repent. The Messiah is the head of Judah, and he is the head of the tribe because Yahushua was the first coming of the Messiah to be preached and set up the acceptable day of the Lord. Who is the final Messiah in Louis Eternal? The Messiah will come in his Father's name, Louis Eternal, okay? And let's see what I have on them. I think I read that though already. I think I got the same one, Hosea 1:11. I could have read it to you guys already. I wrote it twice, so I believe I did. Well, let's just see. 559. Maybe not. Okay, so I have Hosea 1:11. I think I probably read it though. Maybe. Let's check it out. Nope. Here we go. Oh my goodness. Hosea 1:11. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. You see? So it's telling you, the children of Judah and the children of Israel will be gathered as one. We will appoint ourselves as the head, right? We will invoke the Messiah's name. We will invoke Louise Eternal. We will become a Messianic nation. We will rule under Most High laws and commandments, and the Gentiles will follow us. And those who have put us in captivity will be made captive under the bondage of the Most High laws and commandments, and not under evil bondage as we was made to be captive. So again, 1:11. Then the children, Hosea 1:11. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come out of the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. Now when I just figured out Hosea 1:11, 1 and 1 is 3. 3 is a holy convocation. Holy, holy, holy. See that? Okay. Oh, and the rapture lie, because the Father is not coming in the clouds. You know, remember the clouds is representative of many witnesses, and the witness of the clouds will be the internet, because the internet is taking over. So all the knowledge and everything got to be done on the internet. Okay. So Revelation 16:15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Again, let's read that. Revelation 16 verse 15, KJV. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. So, that rapture lie has been debunked right there. The Messiah is telling y'all, blessed, and he come as a thief, and blessed is he who watches. So it's telling you to keep your garments clean, right? Keep your garments clean and keep a watch out. Don't think that you're doing something and you're not being seen, because you're being seen. Don't think that rapture like that the Father coming out the clouds. No, he's telling you he coming thief at night. Just keep your garments clean, unless your shame be shown and you become naked. Okay? Have fear so you can be a part of this rising Messianic nation, who we will be as Judah and Israel as one. Okay, let's go to Isaiah 61. All right, so Isaiah 61. I'm going to go with verse 4. And they shall build the old wastes. They shall raise up the former desolations, and they shall repair their waste cities. They shall repair the waste cities, the desolations of many generations. So it's telling you, during our restoration, all those desolate and wasted cities, we're going to inhabitate them again. You know, we're going to repair those right there. Okay, we're going to raise up the former desolations, right? And the waste cities, right? So even though from those generations they've been wasted and desolated, but as a Messianic nation, and being rising again as Louis Eternal under the Most High, we will go and, you know, inhabit those waste cities and everything, right? The desolations of the many generations that caused, right? We will rebuild those old wastes, okay, and those former desolations. nations, right? They should repair the ways cities, from the desolations from all the generations, okay? That's why it's time for restoration to take place, right? Let's go to John 3:14. Because everything I'm saying got something to do with restoration. They kind of got us brainwashed and thrown out, but I'm trying to get you guys to understand as clearly as possible. It's not that, okay? John 3:14. All right. John 3:14. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have eternal life. Even though Moses was, lifted up the serpent, remember he had to be lifted up by Yahweh. Yahweh guided him to lift him up and use the rod and bring the people out of Egypt, right? So even though, even as Moses lifted up the serpent, even us, we have to be lifted up, right? We got to be lifted up to rise as a Messianic nation, right? So the people, your elect, right now, Messiah is here and they being risen, right? So let's just say somebody out here like Moses, right? They have to lift the Son of Man up, right? So we become one. Judah and Israel is one all over again, okay? So even though, like I said, as Moses lifted up the servants in the wilderness, even though the Son of Man must be lifted up, the Messianic nation must be lifted up and rise. Let's go to Revelation 1:8 because we need to understand that the Father is the Alpha and Omega, right? Let's see. Revelation 1:8. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, said the Lord, which is and which was and which is to come, the Almighty. Which is to come, the Messianic nation, the almighty Messianic nation, Judah and Israel as one, who will rule, who will invoke the Messiah, and be the service of the Most High and the Gentile, the service under us as being made captive, as we was made captive in the press and evil bondage, but when they be made captive under the Most High bondage, it would be in righteous bondage. Okay, let's go to Zechariah 13:9. All right, Zechariah 13:9. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and I will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They should call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they should say, the Lord is my God. So he's going to refine us right now. Remember, the Messiah is rising. The Messiah is already here. He is refining us and purifying us as gold, right? So he can refine us like he refines silver, okay? So then when he refines us as silver and tries as gold, then we should call on his name. He will hear us, right? And he will say that we are his people, and we will say that the Lord is our God, and rulership as the Messianic nation, okay? As a Messianic nation. Let's see. Well, I want to do the plan of the Lord might be glorified. Now, let me go back to that for 1 second. Because, where is that at? That is important. Let me see, can I find that verse right quick? Okay, I'm gonna actually read this one, because it's talking about us being planted and being restored as a nation, right? So Psalm 61, the Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord had anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord, and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all that mourn, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. The planting of the Lord, that we may be called trees of righteousness. Right now, he is planting us, right? And we already been planted as the vine, but right now, he's just raising us and allowing us to bloom, right? Because we already was planted in that vine in Israel, right? And we will not be uprooted, but we will bloom now, okay? And we are being planted, right? That we may glorify the Lord's name as a Messianic nation, as Judah and Israel as one. Okay, and they shall build the old wastes, they shall raise up the former desolations, and they shall repair the waste cities, the desolations of many generations. But ye shall be named the priests of the Lord. Men shall call you the ministers of our God. Ye shall eat the riches of the Gentiles, and in their glory shall you boast yourself. So when we do come back in restoration and be made captives, we're going to eat the glory of them. Right? The same way when Moses led Israel out of Egypt, and they had got all the possessions from the Egyptians, all the gold and all the everything. It's going to be the same thing. We will leave out with great substance and everything, right? For your shame you shall have double, and for confusion they shall rejoice in their portion. Therefore in their land they shall possess the double. Everlasting joy shall be unto them. So for our shame and our oppression, we will have double, and for their confusion, they will rejoice in their portion, right? Because they confused us and brainwashed us and made us captive and everything. We had to go to them for everything because of that curse. But in the end, if God is going to avenge us, we will get double, and for that confusion, they rejoice in their portion, okay? For I am the Lord, love judgment. For I, the Lord, love judgment. I hate robbery for burnt offering, and I will direct their work in truth, and I will make an everlasting covenant with them. And their seed shall be known among the Gentiles, and their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them, that they are the seed which the Lord has blessed. So, this one right here, do talk about the mixed seed, okay? As far as restoration comes, because right now, I'll see this mixed up with everybody, mixed up with the Gentiles, mixed up probably with the animals and everything, because of all the blasphemy and all the everything that's going on, right? Okay, like the Father say, and their seed shall be known among the Gentiles, and their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them, that they are the seed which the Lord has blessed. So even though I see that they're a Gentile, when the Hebrew mixed with the Gentiles, that child have, more than likely a Hebrew upbringing and somewhat because of the father, okay? And that Gentile, even though we mixing our seeds with them, their offsprings can be grafted in, basically, okay? Their offspring is also known among the people, and the Hebrews or Israel should acknowledge them, and to see that they are a seed that who are in fact is blessed as well. So I know all the mingled seed is going on right now. Judah is going to be basically the whole world. Right now, probably like 76% of Judah right now is mixed up because everybody mixing up the seeds. So right now, Judah is probably almost the whole world. And again, Judah will and Israel will become one as a Messianic nation, right? And those Gentiles, Masons, because Masons also can be blasphemous, because during the time of Solomon, remember, the Masons built up the temple, he used devils, right? He used masonry, okay? And they built up the temples, which basically also relates to there are demons and high spirits in different places and everything, okay? So basically, by Solomon using masonry, using the masons to build his temple, who were devils themselves, to also usurp the pyramid of Giza. Those masons is also known as Gentiles as well, right? Those masons trying to do everything to usurp the God's power, even the pyramid, even the Masons removed the cornerstone, okay? So the Masons basically are apprentices, and they have to go through levels, right? And at certain levels, they are told to refer to themselves as gods, okay? So those Masons considered Gentiles, would be, most of them come from Japheth, because Japheth, is who offsprings out of Gentiles will be the ones who made captive, right? A lot of evildoers and everything, right? I wish I could read something. I think it's on my phone, so I wanted to read that about you guys, but yeah, it's on my phone. Okay, so right now I got it right here. The first Mason was Nimrod, a Hamite, dark pigment man. He was possessed by Lucifer, a Gentile looking fallen angel. Okay. Let's see. Nimrod, he was the mighty hunter, and I believe he may be the one that was killing all the animals and the human beings that became possessed and everything. Okay, let's see. So I have Mason is a demon-possessed person who builds for Satan. They work in brick and mortar to represent their evil spiritual bodies. Some construction workers are Masons. Masons is just somebody, a possessed person, that builds for Satan. A Mason can hold any job, and when a Hebrew becomes a Mason, they are Greeks too, right? And Ephesians 6:12, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, right, but higher principalities, all right? So you do got all these Masons who are Gentiles that's trying to usurp the Father's power. Those Masons, I wish I can go there, but it's on my phone, so I'm not going to be able to read it. Man, but I do have it wrote down. It's in my phone, I wish. Okay, but know that Masons is in every nation, okay? Masons are just basically builders for Satan, who are Gentiles, who will be made captive, right? Who will serve under us in bondage, but not evil bondage, okay? Let me see, did I miss something? Oh, Micah 5:2 is taking place already. Hell, I done missed that, huh? 5:73. I got Micah 5:2. But thou, Bethlehem Ephratah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of these shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel, whose going forth have been from old, from everlasting. You see, remember Genesis 1, the scepter should not depart from Judah, right? So he's saying that out of Judah, even though he's small right now, and we ain't captive in no pressure, but out of Judah, okay, will come forth a ruler. Remember? A ruler in Israel, because Judah and Israel will be made one, right? Whose goings forth have been made from old. Remember, it was already planted. That vine was already planted, okay? Israel been a vine, and the wild plants being the Gentiles, okay? Who will be built as a Messianic Nation, from everlasting. Who will be eternal. Louise eternal. Let's see. Oh, what is this? Hosea 3:5. Did I not get you? All right. Hosea Therefore shall the children of Israel return and seek the Lord their God and David their king, and shall fear the Lord in his goodness in the latter days. See? In the latter days, a king shall rise, another David, which will basically be the Messianic Nation and everything. We will return. Right now, we are returning because Messiah is back and we are rising. So we are returning right now. We are invoking the Messiah, right? We are invoking our King David, who is basically Messiah, who comes from the lineage of David, okay? And we will be the ruler of the Most High in the latter days. Got that one. Okay. Second address. I think what have it? Oh my goodness. Is that? And I think that's in the Apocrypha. Oh man. Yeah, that's in the Apocrypha. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, let me go. I just have to get the Apocrypha right quick. Let me go to second address right quick. Which is 16. All right, so second address 7, 28 and 29. Let's see. For my son Jesus shall be revealed with those that be with him, and they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years. And they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years. After these years shall my son Christ die, and all men that have life. Okay? And the world should be turned into the old silence 7 days, like as in the former judgments, so that no man shall remain. And after 7 days, the world that yet awaken not shall be raised up, and shall die that is corrupt. Okay? So, it's just saying that the Messiah will die and everything and basically reign again in 1,000 years, okay? This is what it's saying in second address, okay? For my son Jesus shall be revealed with those that believe, that be with him, and they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years. After these years shall my son Christ die, and all the men that had life. So this was during the days in the ancient time, when he was walking and everything, and he died, okay? And then after that, the world's in a bunch of chaos. Okay. By invoking the Messiah's name on the cloud and educating the Judites, that's how, we rise as a Messianic nation. So we have to continue to vote, and we have to learn, we have to teach and everything, okay? Now, that's how Judah will overcome, okay, by invoking the Messiah's name with the truth. Remember, the Messiah not come with the sword, he come with the truth, okay? Also had, the synagogue of Satan. False Jews are Masonic. Rome, Vatican is Mason. America is Masonic, right? Ashkenazi, Khazarian, Masonic synagogue of Satan. Gentiles who practice Judaism. So you remember those Ashkenazi Khazars, they're not real Jews neither, okay? Messiah will reestablish the other tribes for spiritual reasons and not for sexual separation. Remember, those tribes, we are going to become one. Okay? We are in Jacob's trouble right now. Judah's protesting, I read that, for equal rights. And it's not equal rights because Messiah is not equal, so I don't know why they're protesting. Okay. Okay. Now, also the Messiah is the head, and Judah is the head tribe because Messiah is king. Israel is only Judah, even though Messiah will reestablish the tribes. The whole world will be servants of the Most High. Okay. Again, the Masons are Gentiles. The Masons are composed of many nations. A Mason has to have an apprentice license. The Masons built the nations Isaiah was referring to regarding the judgment. And the Hebrews that pledges are Greek spirituality. They forsake their birthrights for money to war against the Messiah and Judah. The covenant equals restoration. Okay. And I just got a little bit in here. Do I want to get anything out of here? I would have to go through this one right here. But it was something, but probably not. Let's see. But anyway, I just wanted to say, Isaiah, right? We do know that Isaiah mainly focuses on the restorations. It also talk about the avenging too, because remember, the Father is going to avenge us through many nations. Because remember, we are looked at as the lords of all the nations. So all of them, Ethiopia, Edom, Moab, oh my goodness, Egypt, so many of them. So many of them, that put us in bondage and caused us to follow idols and everything, or we want to follow them as well, and those, who made us captive and everything, and, just caused us many troubles, caused a lot of bondage against us, right? The Father will avenge. So, and some of them, they're not even going to be a seed anymore, okay? Some of them He's going to wipe completely out. But as far as Edom and Moab, even though He's going to avenge us with Edom and Moab, they still would be able to have a seed after the third generation, right? And Edom was a great enemy to us. Even though he was a brother of Jacob, he was a great enemy to us. And I did, right? Of course, I wrote all that stuff down, but I got too many pages in here to even see where I started at anyway. To let you guys know what He was going to do to Edom and Moab. But they will be avenged of us, but they also will have their seed recognized in the third generation. So He's coming against all these nations against us, Yeah, so He's coming against all these nations against us. He will avenge us, right, to restoration. So after He avenge us and go through all the nations, using His truth and His word as a sword and avenging us, then He will restore us. We will be restored, and all the nations and Gentiles will follow our lead, okay? And Jeremiah speaks to it too, speaks about it and everything. And then also, like I say, the Sabbath. Right now, the world is given to the devil. So us trying to practice Sabbath, yes, Sabbath is in our heart, but there was other things that go with Sabbath that we don't even have the access to. So how can we really perform Sabbath in its fullness? We can't. Because remember, the veil has been torn in half and everything. The Gentiles has taken over, made us captive, and they have removed our stones. So we have to rebuild them and restore. So we can restore back to the Sabbath. So we can restore back to the things that we was doing, okay? Right now, the world is given to the devil's hand, to Lucifer's hand. All fallen angel, give it to him. So right now, those Sabbath is being made to control people. Remember, Sabbath and the kingdom is within your heart right now. You can still do Sabbath, but only being holy to the Father and making Him holy, but not trying to follow the world Sabbath, okay? All right. Let's see. Well, I got so many things I'm not really going to say. Did I even have this right here? Okay. All right, so you guys, I thought I had it right here, but okay. I think that's it, because it's a lot more in here. But I just want to tell you guys, wait a minute. Remember, the new covenant is restoration. Messiah is our king. He is the king of Israel. Okay? We, the people of Judah and Israel, will become one, and we will be restored as a Messianic nation. The Messiah will become in human form, and His final form will be Louis Eternal. Remember, Jesus, The J is a lame L, and the W is a Shin S. They can be interchangeable. So Jesus himself turned to Louis, right? And then also the Father said he would write his name on our foreheads of the saints to reveal it, which is Louis Eternal. Now, there's a lot of deepness into that, and I had to do a lot of studying. It took me a while because I was reluctant to come out with it, but I don't feel any vexation. And when I do research, it's confirming, what it's saying. So right now, be in fear. Your job is to invoke the Father's name. We have to invoke the Father's name. We have to invoke the Messiah, okay? To become a Messianic Nation. We have to rise and take rulership. Judah and Israel must become one. We have to invoke the Messiah name. We have to invoke the Messiah name. It's time for you guys to go out there and invoke the Messiah name and build and rise so we can become as a nation forever, as eternal, as Louis Eternal, forever. All right, you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. And that was a long lesson. Now I hope you guys understand. Okay, I tried. You got some more questions? Let me know. And for that viewer, remember Psalms 8 through 85. I did read 80 for you. Okay. Now I will read 81, 82, and 3 to 4 as well, but 80 I read down to you. Now I didn't analyze it like I normally from verse to verse because I wanted to make this about restoration. So I went through it. But 80 through 85 is about restoration, us being built as a Messianic nation and being ruler of the Most High, okay? And those who put us in captivity will be made captive and be our servants and our slaves under bondage as a righteous bondage and not an evil, okay? The new covenant is the restoration. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Bye now. Oh, look at my chain. Look at you, y'all. I love y'all. Bye.